Hello and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. I am back again with another video. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I have been thinking about this for a while. I saw this, I don't know, like a reel or a post that somebody did. And I was like, oh, that would be really cool because I had started reading books that I felt like were similar to other books that I'd read. So today what I'm going to be doing is an if-then type thing. And what that means is if you've read this book, then you might enjoy this book because I feel like they are very similar, whether in the storyline, characters, setting, something about them are like they're book siblings. And usually if you enjoyed one book, sometimes you either go looking for books by that author, because you're like, oh, I like this book. I want to see what else this person has written. But sometimes, if you really like the story and you wish you could read more stories like that, getting recommendations for similar books might be a good thing. So hopefully you guys find this useful. So the first one, okay, so if you liked The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, then you need to read Halfway to You by Jennifer Gold. And I feel like they are similar. I mean, it's kind of eerie how similar they are. So in both books, you have someone who had a claim to fame or some sort of celebrity, and they're older now, right? They're in their older years. So in Halfway to You, it's an author. She had this runaway bestseller that became a movie. And now but she kind of like disappeared, like basically off the face of the earth. But she's older now and she's coming back with another book. And she wants to kind of get her story out there about where she's been and what's been going on. So she requests this woman to come and interview her. Sound familiar? Same thing happened in, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And as you go through the story and, you learn about this woman's in Halfway to You, this woman's loves and lives and everything she's been through, there's this other story in the background. And you learn that the person interviewing her, there's a personal connection to her. Just like in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I thought it was just so eerie, those similarities, being big pieces to the, parts of the plot for both those books. But the book is also just very well written. And Halfway to You, the book is just very well written. And the imagery is so palpable. The woman, she goes on so many journeys throughout her life. It was also giving me Eat, Pray, Love vibes. And, when she talks about different places that she went and kind of what her reason for going there was. So anyway, if you like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, then you're going to love Halfway to You. All right. Next up, if you like The Midnight Library, then you need to read This Time Tomorrow. Okay, I feel like they were similar in that they dealt with a time travel type element where the characters in both books are able to see different versions of lives they could have led based on choices that they made. Okay, and then how in the end the choice that they made brought them to where they, probably were going to end up anyway. I will say that in This Time Tomorrow, the only difference was the reason for the woman going back, in time. What she was trying to do was a little bit different than what was happening in The Midnight Library. But at the same time, I feel like they both were about, going back, trying to change fate. So if you like The Midnight Library, I think you would enjoy reading This Time Tomorrow. Okay. If you liked Daisy Jones and the Six, then I feel like you would love Opal and Nev. And when I read both of those books, and I think within a few months of each other, I was reviewing them, and I kept saying that. I can't remember. I think I read Opal and Nev first. Then I read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I was just like, this is crazy how similar it is in that it is a story being told about a mockumentary. How many stories are there on the market like that? So the same thing, like in Daisy Jones and the Six, there was this band, with this lead singer, Daisy Jones, and now somebody's doing a documentary or a book or something, and they're like talking to people in the band and kind of getting their account of what happened back then. Well, in Opal and Nev, this kind of reluctant duo, Opal and Nev, same thing. There's a documentary being made, and they're talking to people who had a hand in, kind of their celebrity and what happened back then and why they split up. And even the way that the paragraphs were structured and, just different things. I feel like there were just some very eerie similarities. But if you like books like that, that have those elements, then if you read Daisy Jones and the Six, I think you'd really enjoy Opal and Nev as well. Let's see here. Okay, so if you like Sometimes I Lie, then I think you might enjoy Behind Her Lives. And I found these two books similar in that they both dealt with, let's see, Sometimes I Lie, this woman she was in the hospital, right? And she could hear everything that was going on around her, but she couldn't move or say anything. Now, in Behind Her Lives, a woman was dead, right? But they're both had instances where people were trying to piece together what happened. How this woman, she was in a car accident, but how did the car accident happen? How did this woman die? And we're getting bits and pieces from journals. There were issues in both of their childhood and preteen lives. And then at the end, we learned there's a third party involved that was kind of manipulating situations and, being a puppet master. So that's all I can say about that. But I felt like they both had kind of similar structures, if you will. So if you liked Sometimes I Lie, I think you'll enjoy Behind Her Lives. Okay, we got two more to go. If you enjoy The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, then I think you would love A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. And on its face, they don't seem like maybe that they're similar books, but they have some very similar elements as well. And Addie LaRue, this woman essentially has been gifted or given immortality, right? And throughout her life, she has lived an incredible life for a very, very long time. And then there's this thing that happens, though, where people don't remember her. Hence the title, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. In A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, although it is a romance story with two main characters as opposed to, Addie LaRue being the central character in her story, the male character in A Love Song for Ricky Wilde has a similar what is the word I want to use here? Affliction, I guess, as Addie, whereas he's been around for a while, and there are other people like him that have been around, and if you have a interaction with them, you tend to forget who they are if you don't continue to interact with them, right? So if you see them once or twice, after a while, it's seems like I remember something, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is I remember, that kind of thing. So I thought that specific element in that story was eerily familiar with what was happening with Addie and Adeline in The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. In A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, it takes place in Harlem, and that's kind of where the main two characters fall in love. Well, ironically, in The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, in New York is where she kind of meets someone and is kind of experiencing that for the first time because she found someone who can remember her. So again, some slight similarities that I think would make the reader of Addie LaRue also really enjoy A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. They both have different endings, obviously, but enough similarities that I think you'd enjoy both books. Okay. The final one. If you enjoyed My Sister the Serial Killer, then I think you would really enjoy How to Kill Men and get away with it. Essentially, that could be the subtitle for My Sister the Serial Killer, because she was killing men and essentially getting away with it. And then How to Kill Men and Get Away with It, you know, that kind of thing was happening. So there you have it as far as the similarities between the two. They both were killing men, no spoiler there, but they were killing men who appeared to be very predatory, you know. So yeah, if you enjoyed My Sister the Serial Killer, you will really enjoy How to Kill Men and Get Away with It. The only thing I will say in How to Kill Men and Get Away with It, there's a plot twist at the end that you learn, and unlike in My Sister the Serial Killer, the person in How to Kill Men and Get Away with It didn't have an accomplice helping her clean up stuff. So there you have it. But anyway, those are just some of the books that I have read since I've started the channel that I felt like were similar enough to each other that perhaps if you've read one, you might enjoy the other. So let me know in the comments what you think. Have you read some of the books that I mentioned? Did you know some of the other books that I mentioned were similar to them? I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and take the opportunity to do so now. And please share my channel with anyone that you think may also enjoy my content. Thanks again, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.